Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a building we framed out that I had that video of. I tried to get some metal on. I got the walls already. Got my metal right over here laid out. A little bit breezy here and there, but it's pretty calm too. So I gotta wrap it first. So hopefully I'm gonna try to do it by myself. I'm gonna go ahead and probably do my top runner wrap first, and just not knit, staple my bottom one too much, and then I'm gonna basically do my bottom run and just overlap it. That seems to be the easiest way when you're by yourself and you don't have a lift or anything. Alright, so that didn't really work. So we're going to go ahead and just unroll it. It's hard to keep that roll, so there's a will, there's a way. So I'm just going to go ahead and unroll it first, and just it'll take a little bit longer, but I'll get done. Alright, so we got the wrap on, and that was definitely hard by yourself. With the wind wasn't too bad, but still just seems to really, any little breeze will really mess you up. But that's probably about the best way I figured out how to do it if you don't have a lift or anything. Is just do the top first, and then not staple your bottom run, and then do your bottom run, and then just overlap it right so it's lapped correctly. It's all on. Took me a little bit, definitely wore me out a little bit, but isn't too bad. So I'm going to go ahead and get my window in now. I really love these windows. I've been starting to get them from like Window Supply, and they have this J trim that's all the way around them, so it's already on. So there's no crack there from your metal J. You can obviously caulk, behind your metal J, but still, this just eliminates all that. So I just feel like it's even better. So yeah, really like them. I usually end up putting a piece of metal J on top yet that sticks out, just so the water kind of runs away from the bottom. But really, I mean, you don't need a J the other sides. It's quicker, it's faster, and I think it's a lot better. This is like a 3x3 slider. Go ahead and put my weep holes at the bottom there. What I do is I just find a quick center, push it all the way to the side, mark, pull it all the way over, make a mark, and just basically make a mark in the middle. Put it right to that. So there, you got it right in the middle. And then just level it this way. It looks perfect there. And that way it looks pretty freaking close. Yep. So it's good right there, honestly. I just staple it on with a staple gun. Which seems to be plenty for a window like this. I mean, if it was a big house window, definitely wouldn't do that. But for this, it really works well. And honestly, I'm gonna have some metal screws be hitting this too yet. So by the time it's all said and done, that's not coming out. So that's all I do. And you could caulk in behind here too before you put the window in. I've never done that, and I've never had leak issues. I usually just caulk here and put the metal over it. That way nothing can get in there. And if it's, the metal comes down over their flange up there, up here, so really if anything even gets in here, all it's going to do is just run out on this. So, I mean, and even if it's not wrapped, I've never had issues with leaks. But I just always put some caulk somewhere just as a safety. I'd rather take 5 minutes and never have to come back, and fix leaks. So yeah, that's about it. Just staple the top and we're done. So that right there is how I go ahead and put mine together. I basically cut this back an inch, and then here I go down back an inch. So then they lay together just like that. It's pretty simple. And I just put it to the top of the board right there, and that way it makes it easy. I don't have to chalk a line or anything, just haul right along there and put it on. All right, so we got our everything on, trim on, we're ready for metal. I'm gonna go ahead and punch this metal, is what I call it. I have a hole puncher, I'll kind of show you. I've made some other videos of how I make one and all that. I like using it, you can drill them too, but so I basically lay mine off. This is gonna be my bottom. I'm gonna start over here. That way the laps are away from, most of the eyesight's gonna be from up there. I don't worry as much about weather, more about eyesight. I mean, if you lap it right and you close it, it's never gonna, water's not really gonna go in there. So my screw rows will be 3/4. I got a cord up to here, so we'll do it right there. And then they're basically just 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, all the way up to 16 at the top, which is gonna come down a little bit because I know where they're at. Not you can measure it, but I already know where I'm at. So I just basically lay these off here. Make sure these are all flush on the bottom. That way, if you punch a hole through them, you don't ruin the whole stack by having one off. As I've showcased before, I made one of these. Basically, just took a grinder, made a tip sharp, and works pretty good, I would say. All right, we are ready to put some metal on. Best way I figured out to do it by yourself is just pick it up. Right in the middle, and then curl it like that. So this is kind of how how I set a piece for me usually. I'll do the bottom lap first. Get that right where I want it. That's set, and make sure that's going to be good all the way up. Okay, that looks good. Then just barely a 1/16 off my base trim there. If anything, I'll push this back a little. I push this in pretty flat so it doesn't cup, because that can get you in trouble, especially on long pieces. So that's pretty much all I do, is set them. And the tops aren't set, but when I'm done, I'll run along and screw the top and make sure those are all set. At the bottom, top is set, your ribs should all lap pretty good. So all right, so we're back out here the following morning. Didn't get the Gable one on, we just got the sidewall one on. My phone died too while I was taking the time lapse, but luckily this stuff stayed on overnight. I'm gonna go ahead and get my Gable on first. That took me a couple hours to get all that done. Went ahead and spread out all the rest of my sidewall metal, got it all stacked right, so it's all ready to go for the other sides now. I'm gonna go ahead and try to get some walls on today. Got my Gable metal all stacked. It was at the bottom too, so I had to kind of get all my other stuff stacked to get to it. And I like to stack it exactly right. So right now it's stacked where it grows and then it hits the peak and then it goes back down. So that way I get it all the holes punched and I can just get it on real quick. That's how I like to do it. Take a little bit more time to get it stacked right and then it will go real fast. So not windy at all right now, so I'm gonna try to get a bunch of metal on, hopefully get some more wrap on the other sides and continue on. So I'll show you guys a little bit of how it looks stacked so you can kind of see what I was talking about on the gable side. So here I got it stacked. These are 412s, they're exactly a foot, and it's 30-foot gable. So I got 5 pieces, and then there's 2 long ones there. Then they basically, underneath here, if you can see it, it basically goes back down again. So that way they're stacked perfectly. And then here, with it being flush eave like this, I can just go ahead and mark all my marks across there for these first 5, and then I can just cut them real quick, which makes it, you don't have to be very close when you got flush eave. You got like 5 inches of corner up there. So when you have a J trim, you need to be a little bit more precise. I usually check every piece as I go to make sure I don't get off. But yeah, all right, well, we'll get some metal up. It took all of about 45 minutes to get it tacked on. I got solid row or 2 up top, solid row in the middle, and solid row in the bottom. I'm not gonna put all the screws in. All the holes are there, so there's really no need to like put them in. Honestly, I like to just do this while it's calm, just focus on getting metal on and wrap on. And if it gets windy or whatever, and then you can just go, you got hours of sticking screws in. So that's kind of how I do it. Just kind of take what the weather gives you. Alright, well, we got the metal on luckily before it got windy, so a little bit breezy, not too bad. Some snowflakes in the air, so I'm just going to try to set my top here so it don't blow off, and then put on my eave trim, and then call it a day probably. For my eave trim, this is set for the proper angle, so it's pretty easy to put. You just put it in, kind of pull it in tight, make sure it's straight down. And I just screw it center of my rib in the middle and in the ends, because my ribs on the roof will line up with these. That way it'll go over the head of your screw. If not, you can staple them on. But for a flush eave, I go ahead and here overhang 1.5 inches from my framing, because you have the ribs on your gable, and then your corner trim will be another 3/4 inch out on that flat. So So I go 1.5 out so it closes that off a little better. If you got like a gable where it doesn't go out like a corner and come back in, you might want to just go 3/4, but I go 1.5. So easiest way to do that, I usually just guess 1.5. Take this tab and bend it down a little, and I just hook it on my end and then screw it on. Alright, I got 3 sides on, ready for roof metal. Probably got to put the roof on next versus finishing out the front side. Just try and get that roof on. I do like having all the sides on, especially on flushy, because then you can get all your rake trim along your gables on and just, you know, go at one time. But I'll probably end up just getting it on if I have a calm day, and not sure yet how I'm going to do that. Probably won't do it by myself. I'll probably have somebody come out and help me with that, just because of how tall it is. It'll be very hard to get a lot of sheets up there, and the sheets are shorter than the sidewall, so that makes it kind of fun too. So, but yeah, everything's on the walls. Just got to stick the rest of the screws in, obviously. So there's a couple hours. I think so far probably 4 hours in yesterday doing this, and today probably at 4.5. Not too bad. I mean, that's just over an 8-hour day. I've got 3 sides on, so you know, probably about a day and a half, 2 days, I can have all the wall metal on and be 100% done, which is not bad for by yourself. So yeah, gonna try to probably make 2 more half days yet, do the roof and do the front wall and be done. So all right, so we're out here. We're going to try to get this roof on now. I brought somebody out to help me because I didn't want to do it up there by myself because it's so tall. It's really hard to get it up there by yourself. But you can take it up a ladder, but I mean, it's doable, but it sucks. Or you get a lift, and I didn't feel like doing either one. So have him hand it up, and just you guys can see how we do it. That way, see how I do it. As long as you got at least 2 people, it's not too windy. Something like this is very easy to do. It just depends on how many people you got. If you're doing it by yourself, probably need a lift, or if you really want to go manly and go up a ladder, feel free to do that. But we're going to go ahead and do that and see if we can't get it on. It's a nice day, so we'll show you guys how we do it. So now we're going to go ahead and put on this corner rake trim is what I call it. So I just line it up with the bottom of the metal, just make it look square at the bottom, set at the top, and then you know, if you got multiple pieces, make sure they are straight, not humped or anything like that. But these ones are just one piece. Got the first piece on, I'm just going to measure. I got to that, cut it straight, cut my angle on it at 412 back, and it'll look real nice, and then I'll just square it there and square it at the bottom, line up the bottom, and that's about it. And just stick in screws in every row is what I do. And then on the outside, this one, I've got ribs, so I go every other rib. That's plenty. caulk a lot of mine behind there, and then I overlap quite a bit. That's probably unnecessary, but it's also never seen it. Just never have to go fix a leak either. Just got done with the roof. Definitely wouldn't recommend doing the roof middle pieces that way unless you really want to work hard, because that is definitely, yeah, pretty hard for the guy on the ground. The roof sheets were shorter than the wall metal, so it made it a pain. If they're longer like normal, then it's not hard at all to do it that way. It just was very hard up here too. You really had to pull it up like all the way, which, I mean, they're not heavy, but it just was a pain. But yeah, it'd probably be definitely easier using a lift or something, but I mean, I didn't want to pay for one like normal, so that's how I went ahead and did it. We got all the screws in, everything on except the corners on that end, but all in all, it took us just over 4 hours, so not bad. But yeah, now the roof's on. Just got to do the one more wall and we're done. We're getting ready to do the front side here. We're gonna go ahead and trim this out. Over there we got the inset porch. I'm just gonna go ahead and metal over to here for now. And I'm gonna do all that inset porch stuff at one time. So I got all this cut. I just got my tabs cut up here. And I'm gonna go ahead and put the sides on first, and I'm gonna set my top just up on top. I got everything cut, so I'm just gonna go ahead and staple it on. Kind of show how I staple it all on, how I set. Alright, so here I just staple the outside all the way up back in there, and then I come in here and I always pull the middle in first and staple it along the inside there, and then you pull the ends out a little. That will just keep it from oil canning. Looks nice and straight along there. And this right here will all get covered by trim, about 2 inches, so it doesn't really matter if you got staples back there. So yeah, just do the same all the way around each piece. This is kind of how the corner looks. Like this piece here went back up in there like that, and there I just come around. I don't 45 it. I mean, you can, but really nobody ever complains about that. Just bend that tab down like that, and I caulk all the way back in here, all the way down there. Alright, so here we're putting on the corner trim. I don't have a long enough piece to go all the way up, so I'm splicing it. I just want to make sure it doesn't go in or out, make sure it's straight. I'll show the top piece, kind of how it all gets together there, kind of why I put my eave trim out and how everything ties together there. So how I do this, I just go ahead and set it on there, get it square, kind of get it square looking up top, stick a screw in the bottom. Gotta make it look square on the base trim, usually it's in a little bit, like that. Put one in there. Make it look square up there. kind of set it. You may adjust that in and out to make sure it's straight. What I'll do is I'll go up and set my top, and I'll just straighten it from top to bottom and set it, and then just screw the rest of them off. So I'll do the same thing here. I'll square it here, set it, and then eyeball and pull this in and out. Get it straight, set it, and then just screw everything else off. So it's kind of dark, but you can kind of see how this goes all the way out. So this corner right here sticks 3/4 past framing, and this sticks another 3/4 because it's sitting out on the ribs. So that's why I go 1.5 inches past framing for that. And that goes all the way out against, and it just closes it off pretty well. All right, let me show you guys a little bit of a trick that I use to cut my metal this way. I don't like using the nibblers. If you can hide it behind a corner and stuff, it doesn't really matter, but if you got cuts by windows, it tends to not look as great. I use these blades. They're Lennox gold tips. They have like gold bottom here. They seem to work really good for storing metal, breaking it, because they don't break off, so you can go a long time with it. Regular blades won't do that, so I'm gonna go ahead and score this. You get a really good score, it'll snap real easy and quick if it's straight. And it drags really hard because it's gripping in there. Like the other blades will just kind of glide over the top. Like that. Nice, clean. You have to be kind of careful when you lay it on the other sheets. Don't let it slide and scrape or scratch. Or if you only got a piece or two, you can buckle it by kneeling on it. You just got to be very careful, know what you can do with it. So this is how I finish out my porch. I went ahead and tried to line up those ribs right there with those, and also in there. I think it just looks better. You don't have to, but I think that looks better. And here I just kind of J-trimmed around that post. Just like that. J-trim up there. And I just ran a J for the ceiling and then another J for the sidewall. The inside corner on. And just run my base trim out over so it caps it. And that way it looks a lot better. So there it is, it's all done as far as framing and metal goes. Just need to do the concrete and the door. So over here I went ahead and put a little cap on top of there. I put this cap on top just so you can store stuff on top of his ceiling there. So he's got about 8 foot left. So that way you can use it for storage. Just got done with the building behind me. Took us about 25.5 hours to put the metal on, man hours. About 4 of those were that one guy that was helping me one day putting the roof on. Other than that, I did it all by myself. Got it all screws in. Everything's done. Had that porch done. Everything is ready for concrete and the door. So in all in total, I think we had 45 hours on the framing and post. So it was like 70.5 hours, man hours total, which is not bad at all. I mean, that's basically a 4-man crew taking 2 9-hour days. So 36 and 36 is 72. So that's not bad, pretty efficient. I will say the wrap and the metal and the wind was not the funnest, but definitely wasn't that bad though. I mean, didn't have a lift or anything. Literally just did it off of a ladder and climbing around. I don't do a lot of these anymore, so especially by myself. So this was kind of a fun little challenge, especially that little porch turned out pretty cool. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any stuff that I missed or you'd like to see, just let me know in the comments and I'll gladly answer them, or I can make a video showing how we do certain things. So I tried to be a little bit more in detail about this one, so hope that helps somebody. I also do have some videos that are very in-depth that were professionally shot. They're taking way longer to put them together, edit them, than I thought. I thought they'd be done by now, so stay on the lookout for those. Those are still coming at some point. So, but for now, yeah, I think that's it. Thanks for watching, and catch us on another video.